Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit, and welcome to episode 2 of what we're still calling Impress Me, because we haven't come up with a better name yet. Some people suggested the Biscuit's Den, but that would be bloody stupid. So what is this series? If you haven't already seen the pilot, it is a series where we give 20 minutes to an indie game to impress us. Simple as that. Why have we come up with such a series, you might ask, and why am I using the royal prerogative? Both of these are great questions, but I'll only answer one of them. We get so many games that we simply don't have time to cover them all with the regular format, so we came up with another one to ensure that we can bring more games to the channel. At least that's the hope anyway. I'll be changing things around over the next couple of episodes, as you might imagine, just taking feedback and refining the format. This time around we're going to take one of the games away. We're just going to do 2 games for a 40-minute or so show, and we'll see where it goes from there. So without further ado, let us begin with the first 20 minutes of our first game. Alright, our first game of the day is going to be Orborun. This is by a company called Tiny Lab. Now, from what I can tell, this seems to be some sort of runner/monkey ball kind of clone. And it was originally released on mobile devices, so not 100% convinced with the port. What I will tell you about the port is the fact that you can't change the resolution unless you apparently hit Alt while loading the game. Now, I've tried this, and it doesn't work, so I'm not really sure what they're on about there. As you can also see, it appears to have controller buttons here, as opposed to keyboard, but it can't be that complicated, surely, so we'll give it a bash with the keyboard. As usual, we'll be giving 20 minutes for this game to impress, and we'll be starting from the very beginning, and I have not touched the game outside of the options. Alright, so we shall begin, and our time will start now. Okay, any key to roll. Sounds good to me. A and D. It's the keys to roll left and right. Whoa, okay. Well, I don't have a controller plugged in, which is why it's a little bit interesting that it's bringing that up in the first place, but I guess it doesn't really matter. It's given me the controls that I need via the keyboard. There probably aren't all that many buttons. So we'll find out as we go forward. Alright. Well, I managed on the first level to not collect everything, which I think makes me completely terrible in every respect. So, thus far, it's definitely Endless Runner-esque. Break the blue glass, alright. And I assume you avoid the red glass, yes. That makes sense. Yeah, certainly a bit Endless Runner, a little bit Monkey Ball here and there. Sort of sci-fi aesthetic. Doesn't have any anti-aliasing. You notice how jaggy that ball is. It's weird, it's running on the Unity engine. I mean, there would be plenty of presets that you could put in with the Unity engine, I would imagine. But again, it doesn't seem to actually have an options menu, even though it claims that it does. Alright, well, so far so good. I mean, it really is just a 3D Endless Runner, isn't it? I wonder what exactly would you have to be looking for to find an exciting 3D Endless Runner? Well, it's not really endless, actually, at all. It's got levels, so calling it an Endless Runner is nonsense. It is a runner. And these kind of games have actually been around for decades. I'm trying to remember some of the names of the old ones that I played. And I can't. Sorry. I can't do it. But I do remember this concept being used quite frequently back in the day. It was quite neat because it allowed you to render some rather interesting environments when otherwise you probably wouldn't have been able to do so if it had kind of free-roaming mechanics involved in it. So far so good. It's not particularly challenging. It seems to work fine with the keyboard. And this is the sort of thing that you'd probably want to play with an analog stick. And that's solely on the basis that you'll get more precision of control than you would with a keyboard. I don't know if that's... No, that's actually not true. That's not fair. I think when it comes to analog sticks, I like them in racing games because they give you the feeling of more control without having to constantly tap the button. The problem with a digital input is that it's either 0 or 1, and there's nothing in between. But I think if you told the Trackmania player that they should play with the controller, they would laugh you out of the room, and rightfully so. You can get more precision with a keyboard. I just think it's less fun to play a game like that with a keyboard, simply because I find the repetitive tapping to be very irritating. That's a personal preference only, though. Alright. Now, the ball controls very strangely when he decides to come out of the ball and start running around, and I'm not really sure what the purpose of that is. Is it due to speed, or does it do that for no apparent reason? I'd have thought maybe there might be some more functions going into this, but right now it does seem like it's nothing but, hey, I'm gonna run, and I'm gonna run, and then that's gonna be that. I can certainly understand playing a game like that on a mobile device, absolutely. Oh, did I mess up? I suppose I did. Which is a little bit weird. I thought I was in the wormhole. I guess I wasn't. Alright, so now I'm going around in circles. Okay. Well, at least we now know that the game does allow you to make mistakes in terms of direction. Although I'm not 100% convinced that this is a particularly enjoyable mechanic in the first place. I think what I enjoy from titles like this is the ability to really gain some speed. Right now, I don't actually know which one of these warp or wormholes I need to go through in the first place. Or should I even be going through them at all? Well, I guess I have to. You can't jump that, surely. Well, no, you can't, apparently. So there we go. Also, he has a barcode on his arse. I do wonder what that represents. Is he part of an oppressed people? I just couldn't tell you. Well, I'm not really too impressed by this whole mechanic here. I understand the idea of staying on the track and building up speed and things like that, but this, I mean, I'm just repeating myself over and over and over again. So it's clearly not the right one, so let's go for the left one. And then it gives you a choice of 4, which is a little excessive, and then I think it puts me right back where I was. So, is this just guesswork, or is there something that I'm missing here? Okay, alright. So it is guesswork, then. So you have to remember which bloody direction you go in the first place. So I guess we go through the middle one. Alright, okay, now it's working. Okay, this is the end. Okay, you know, what that ended up doing was turning the game into a bit of a maze, and I'm not actually sure that that's what you should be doing in a runner. Shouldn't a runner be more focused on your dexterity and balance, rather than which gate you guess? Oh, bloody hell. That does seem like the way that you should do things. I mean, I suppose you could approve of the fact that the game innovates in some respect, but I just don't feel that that particular innovation is a very good idea. Because there's no skill involved in picking those paths, it really is just guesswork. It's also a very strange thing to throw into the middle of your game like that. It's like you're in the middle of the first set of levels, and then it suddenly throws that mechanic at you, then doesn't use it again for another couple of levels, and all of these are a little bit more traditional, right? You're trying to collect as many coins as possible, get as many multipliers as possible, and I'm doing terribly at it, but you can see where the enjoyment is to be had there. It's the idea of perfection. It's the idea of being able to make quick decisions at speed and collect everything on the way and plan an optimal route. There's a lot of enjoyment to be had from that. I mean, hell, that's what precision platformers like Super Meat Boy are all about as well. But throwing those warp holes kind of into the middle of it and just... How do I even get to that? Oh, yeah, I suppose you gotta just kick it around the side. There we go. Okay, alright, there we go. That's nice. Throwing the wormholes into the middle of it and just using it in one level in a way that's very strangely designed, I feel is a bit weird in terms of pacing. Now, more often than not, games like this like to use the first set of these micro levels that they often use with the star ratings to teach you a bunch of mechanics. And I can appreciate that, but usually you then continue to use the mechanics and you slowly build up the complexity of the level from there. That one was jarring. It's like, alright, running, and suddenly maze. Like, what, really? Okay. I did enjoy that, though. That was pretty fun. I like the speed you're able to get up there. It almost reminded me of a platformer, the way that you had to bounce off the various speed accelerators. And this is cool as well, having to tilt at a particular angle in order to stay on the track. So, it's not like the game doesn't have interesting levels, even though obviously the mechanics of the game are fairly simple. It does. This level in particular, I like a lot. And I think that speedrunners and those who are after a platforming challenge are surprisingly going to find quite a lot to enjoy here. And I suppose there is a crossover between games like this and platformers. I don't know how large a crossover it is. Oh, it seems there's a checkpoint. That's always nice. Although, I'm having difficulty getting the right angle to not mess this up. There we go. There we go. Much, much better. That's what I like to see. Soundtrack's not too bad either. I don't think it's anything to write home about, personally, but it's not too shabby. I'll let you take a listen. Alright. Well, seems like there are different worlds for different kinds of gameplay. So we've got Puzzle World here, and we've got Hazard World as well. So let's try both of those. I have a feeling I'll hate Puzzle World. I would imagine. Although, it's not like you can actually stop. You stay at a consistent speed, so it can't be that ridiculous, surely. So the puzzle, I suppose, is completion in terms of collecting everything. Because I collected virtually nothing there. The puzzle is how do you get everything. Alright, now we see the wormholes being brought in once again. Which of these is the right one? Alright, well that's going to send me off the edge. That's no good. And it starts you back there. Which is a little bit annoying, because I don't think you can then collect that points booster. Bit of a weird place to put a checkpoint. But, again, you can just hit Y to retry, so it's not like that's a big deal. Alright. Well, the design is starting to get pretty interesting on these levels, I've got to say. Is it possible to make that work? It is! Alright. That felt pretty cool, got to admit. Surprisingly simple, but I think the strength lies in the design of the courses. Some of these are actually quite clever. Although, I have a feeling that if you were able to make your ball do more things, maybe if it had a jump button or whatever, then you'd be able to design your courses in a way that was even smarter. As it stands, you're limited by things that you can activate by passing through them. Which I feel does put you in a situation where you can't necessarily go insane with your course design. Let's try Hazard. Alright, well, it's green, so there's... Okay, I died to something. Oh, there's a hole there. Okay, I could barely see it. There we go. Alright, so we avoid that. And this one is... These kind of courses are going to be more focused to knocking you off the level with holes and all sorts of things like that. I can appreciate that they themed all of the sets of levels. That's pretty cool. It obviously allows you to avoid stuff that you don't really like, although I have a feeling that unlocking everything is going to require you to play types of levels that you don't really enjoy. I don't really understand the whole I am going out of my ball to run thing either. And strangely enough, it feels like your character doesn't handle as well in that mode, although I could be mistaken. That might just be a bit of confirmation bias going on and a level of expectation because I see the animation changes. So, just bear that one in mind. Oh, I balked that one up, didn't I? Give it another bash through the warp hole. There we go. It's lovely. And then we can... Ah, never. If I can just get a little bit more speed up there. I think that's still the correct way to go. But you do lose a decent amount of speed getting up to that. So you've got to be a little bit careful. But again, that's what gives it the replayability, right? Because if you want to collect absolutely everything, you've got to keep retrying the course and nail your run absolutely perfectly. Up we go. I'm not really sure there's anything more to say about this, so we might actually end up cutting this one short. Because frankly, can I rabbit on for 20 minutes about this? Probably not. Oh, it is a very, very simple game indeed. It was originally designed for mobile devices. They did add some PC functionality in, things like the controller support, although for some reason the options menu doesn't seem to work. And you probably have to force something like AA on to get rid of the jaggies, of which this game does have quite a bit. The graphic design is fairly simplistic, but it's utilitarian in nature. It gets the point across. For the most part, everything is clear, although I would say some of the holes in the green levels are not quite as obvious, and I think that's just simply because of the gradient that's being used on a lot of these translucent green tiles, so you can't necessarily tell whether or not the tile is a hole at a distance. And obviously there's some pretty bad texture work here and there, but that ultimately doesn't really matter in a game like this that much. Oh, I'm messing this up completely now. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably play it for 5 minutes on a mobile device. And that's the weird part of it, isn't it? That you end up with a game like this on the PC where people probably want to sit down and play for a significant amount of time. And it's really not necessarily the format that works well for that. Unlike something like Death Rally, I would say that... Hang on a minute, I thought I was able to bounce off that. What do I do now? I'll have to restart this. So do you avoid the speed boost here so you can get the turn? I don't think you can get the turn. I thought you could just bounce off that thing and change your direction, but evidently not. It's a little bit strange. With something like Death Rally, I criticized the PC version because the races were over in under a minute. I'm like, well, who wants to do minute-long races? That's frankly absurd. Alright, so you kind of gotta bounce off the corner, I get it. Who wants to do that? You know, that just makes it a bad racing game. And that game was originally designed for mobile devices. Now, I've said it before, it's toilet gaming, you know? You want a game session that you can finish very quickly. Either while you're waiting for a bus, or an appointment, or you're on the toilet. It's as simple as that. On PC, I don't think that's really the case, but I wouldn't criticize this game for that, simply because shorter levels and lots of them is a decent way to approach runner games. I mean, fuck, Meat Boy. That's Meat Boy in a nutshell, right? And you'd never accuse Meat Boy of not being an appropriate game for PC. And I'm evidently terrible at this level, so there you go. I mean, I wouldn't go out of my way to keep playing it, but I think it's mostly just due to the fact that this is not a genre that I really enjoy. It's solid at what it is, I just don't think it's anything particularly exceptional. The highlight of it is certainly the level design, although perhaps it could benefit from a few more mechanics. As you can see, there's a bunch more levels available. Puzzle types, more haste types, so if we want a little bit more speed, we can get it. And I do enjoy the speed in games like this. I would also say that it needs to have a more clear indicator of what actually ended up killing you. In particular, on the green level, I didn't realize initially that was actually a pit, because again, it didn't look much like a pit. And then, when dealing with the wall, where you have to bounce off the corner of it, if you hit the wrong place, it instantly restarts. So I think it gives poor user feedback. And it says, oh, you can't hit a wall, which is not true. You actually can hit a wall. You've just got to hit a wall at an angle to make sure that you bounce off it. And I think the instant 3, 2, 1 whenever you die is maybe not the best way of handling that. You could probably put an animation in that would make it a little bit clearer as to what happened. You know, make your character shatter or whatever. I think that gives an indicator of, hey, you hit the wall too hard, so there you go. Yeah, outside of that, you know, it's alright. Again, I wouldn't play too much more of it. It's not like it's expensive. It's currently about $6, and it's obviously pretty cheap on mobile devices as well. I'd probably consider picking it up as a bit of a time waster on mobile device. I don't know if I would on PC unless I was really into the idea of a speedrunning challenge. And I really like the notion of these sort of pipe runners, these balance games, these monkey balls. Well, there you go. That's a look at Orborun. And we do have about 3 minutes left, but I think I can't really say anything more on that one other than blithering, so we're going to move on to Game 2. Our second game on the chopping block today will be Deep Under the Sky, brought to you by Richmate Game and Colin Northway. This is a $10 title that also came out on mobile devices, and it's, as you can probably see, rather pretty, isn't it? And a little bit strange. So, its time starts now. Well, okay. I think I'm dead. Alright, that's the end of the game. There we go. What exactly am I doing? So, I am supposed to fill every nest to perpetuate my species. Yes. That's what we like to see. So, clicking allows me to move my character. It also apparently allows me to explode. Are these nests? I assume they're not. Or are they? They seem like they are. So when I click, it causes my character to explode. There we go. And then each of these is then filling up. So I want to fill up this one. Okay. I've got to say I'm slightly confused as to what I'm doing. It's a little bit weird going back every time I fire a spore off, but I suppose that this isn't actually my character. This is some spore or egg or... Frankly, yep, I would be correct. This is my character. That was, in fact, I suppose, if you're thinking about inseminating nests, my giant gelatinous flying penis. Interesting start to the game. Okay, fly up to the next area. Let's go. There we go. So, multiple clicks will get me that. There we go. Interesting, they actually didn't even bother putting a menu there, they just put the text right on it. Alright. Well, this game, as you can probably tell, seems to be controlled by a single mouse button. which makes certainly a reasonable degree of sense. I can now jet like a squid. All right. So now I have a jet-powered... I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to do it. No. I'm not going to indulge your filthiness. Lewd nonsense. Okay, so first tap launches, second tap jets, and third tap explodes. That's an interesting use of a single click or tap mechanic. I mean, you can see the word tap was brought up in the tutorial, which indicates, of course, that it does have a certain tie, I think, to mobile devices. But that is fair, and it was, I think, a simultaneous release on PC as well as mobile devices. And it's definitely a game that suits mobile devices, but it's not a game that doesn't work on PC. Now, the idea of tapping a button is not something that PC precludes you from doing. And then we head this way, and that collects the star, which also grabs us that. There we go. I should point out that for some reason this game is locked at 30 frames per second. I'm not really sure why that is. And of course you can kind of notice that a little bit. I assume it's got something to do with the mobile port. Since it isn't a fast action game, and really all you seem to have to do is click at the right time, it doesn't really affect the gameplay all that much, but it certainly doesn't feel as smooth as it could be. But without direct control, it's certainly a lot harder to tell. So it's not too bad. Alright, cool. So I assume you're able to gain different abilities as you go through. So I can now jet like a squid. So I want to jet up here. Alright, so I messed that up completely. It's interesting. It's almost like it adds sort of artillery mechanics from games like Crush the Castle and Angry Birds. But it's got this strange, almost pseudo-platformer element to it, which I find kind of intriguing. I wonder if I was able to explode right in the middle there, I would actually be able to hit both of them. Sweet, and that got me the star. That's what we like to see. I gotta say, I don't really know what's going on with the aesthetic, but I'm certainly very intrigued by it. It's actually quite a pretty game. I don't know what's going on, and the music has this rather odd sci-fi sound to it, but I guess I've got to give them credit for the fact that the game certainly looks original. Now, you'll notice it actually gives you the information on the direction that you went in previously. There we go, we get the second star. Yeah, I'm starting to dig this. There's not really a lot else to talk about up to this point unless it starts to introduce new mechanics. As you can see, it tells you exactly how many shots you took and so on and so forth. So I assume you want to do it in the minimum number of shots. If you're particularly concerned about that, I personally don't really care. Alright, cool. So we have new mechanics here. We have a wall that you have to blast through. And we can jet there. Incidentally, you can also deactivate your jet at any time. So you can start the falling process whenever you like. Basically, you're firing a giant gelatinous alien penis missile. Essentially. No, I mean, that would be factually accurate, right? I am attempting to inseminate all of these nests with my god knows what. Yeah, that seems reasonable. I'm not doing that for shock value. That actually seems to be the case. Oh, cool. So if you explode with enough momentum, you can actually hit both of them. Nothing I say in this video is going to end up being taken as anything other than complete filth, is it, at this point? Yep. Get enough momentum, you can hit both of them. It's happening. I'm becoming Jesse. How on earth do I... Oh, okay. So you just, like, jet slightly, maybe? You gotta jet immediately after you pop out, right? Because that's going to give you the velocity to head up here and then grab this star. Yeah, this is neat. It's strange. It's kind of like mixing Angry Birds with almost a little bit of Metroidvania-esque exploration. And it's done with one button. And has a really interesting aesthetic. I dig it. I dig it greatly. And then it's slowly adding new mechanics into the game. Although I have to wonder if it's good. Damn it, I'm screwing up horribly now. Come on, come on, get your stuff together. Let's try it again. Up we go. Where we stop, nobody knows. Apparently we stopped there, which is obviously not right. There is a rather irritating amount of precision involved in that one particular jump. I guess there's nothing else there. I must be pretty much done with it. So if I don't activate my jet, that will enable me to do that. There we go. Yeah, that was the last one. Okay. 26 shots. Pathetic. I am terrible. I wonder if there are different tile sets. Everything currently looks the same outside of the little frogs and the little level elements that are now putting in with the pink walls. Hey, don't get me wrong, I like the aesthetic. It's very interesting. I have no idea what it is, but it's interesting. Got to admit that. Ah. It's an interesting project as well to come from the guy that made Pineapple Smash Crew. It is a collaborative effort, of course, but the first name that I recognized on there was Rich Make Game. Full disclosure, incidentally, I may have a slight bias towards this title, because in his previous game, if you type in the word TotalBiscuit, it gives you a top hat on your little Space Marine. Just saying. There you go, full disclosure. See how easy that was? Wow, incredible. I literally have journalism. Alright, let's get some more out of this, shall we? So we can put the jet down there, which will not only blow up that... Yeah, I'm really getting it. I really am. I'm seeing these elements where you can optimize your runs, and I'm seeing you could actually spend quite a lot of time on this. And it's surprisingly precise, even though you only have one button. You wouldn't think there would be an element of precision to that, but there's actually a surprising amount to it. Yeah, this is pretty neat. I'm not very good at it, but hey, this is my first attempt. I'll say this, so there's one over there. So, in theory, once you learn where everything is, you can replay the level, and then you can end up trying to get all the stars in the lowest number of shots possible. It seems like there are multiple levels of this. So I think the key to success in a game like this is that it keeps things fresh. We've done several levels now of the whole jetting thing. We've run into the pink walls. So what's the next mechanic that it's going to introduce? And I'm starting to master hitting multiple nests with one of the giant gelatinous penis missiles. That's actually surprisingly hard to say, by the way, and you haven't had a lot of experience saying it, I would imagine, and neither have I. I've got to admit, neither have I. This is a new experience for me, as it is for you. And I should have exploded much closer. There. Nope. Did I already get that? Or was I just not close enough? There we go. Much, much better. And there's two more. Collect two more of these little things. Should have tried to blow up the pink thing. There we go. Nope, that was incorrect. I may have been wrong when I said that you can control the jet, because when you click again, it actually blows you up, so... You have a certain degree of control, but that control, of course, disappears when you decide to detonate. But you can decide when to fire the jet in the first place, and that affects your angle a great deal. It reminds me of playing all of those old tank games like Scorched Earth with the very sort of homing missiles. And of course things like Worms as well, where you decide at what point you want to kick things in. I was going to say, there can't be something down there. And I'm like, no. Absolutely not. Okay, we can explode there, and that should be it. There we go. I'm always looking around the levels to see if I can find secret stuff. Which is neat. Alright. New things, apparently. Okay, so... Now the interesting. So now there are bounce plates on the level. Which will allow me to do things like grab that. Although, I think if I detonated at the right time, I could have probably grabbed both, actually. There we go. Bounce that over there. Don't want to detonate just yet. I want to detonate... I hoped that I was in the right place. Not perfect. See, now I'm obsessing over perfection. It's a tad silly. There we go. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. It's a gorgeous game with some really interesting ideas. And it shows, alongside games like Tiny Wings, which are of course on mobile devices, that you can get a surprising amount done with minimal player input. Without sacrificing some degree of skill. And that minimalistic control design in terms of the user interface has to be admired, I feel. Indeed, you can even turn the UI off if you want a kind of pure experience. Alright, where am I going? Okay, so I've got my jet back now. So I suppose we'll blow up that. Yeah, I mean, for what it is, it's really nicely put together. I know some people will be saying, you know, why the hell does he like this? It's like, obviously, a mobile title or whatever. Yeah, but you've got to judge games in context of what they're trying to accomplish. Like, this is not Destiny. You know, this is not an MMO shooter with hundreds of millions of dollars of budget. It's a simple game with a simple concept that's well executed. And there's a lot of appreciation, I think, that can be given to games that do that. Of course, when it comes to buying, now that's where a consumer might say, well, you know what, I don't think that a game with one button that's solely about shooting monstrous, giant, gelatinous squid penises or whatever is something that I really want to engage in for $10 on Steam or $3 on mobile devices. And that's totally understandable. But it's always worth bearing in mind when a game like this pops up that if you look at the game and you think, well, it's not worth it now, then it's probably going to end up being on sale at some point, and then you've got to reevaluate whether or not you think it's worth it at that point. That's the wonderful thing about digital distribution. We know for a fact that this game and pretty much every other game ever released is going to be available at multiple price points. So we're able to make a personal decision as to whether or not we think that the amount that's being asked at that point is okay. And the long tail of sales is a very real thing as well, which can actually be very beneficial, I think, to the company in question. How on earth do you get that one? Can you bounce for it? No, you've got to boost in order to get to that bounce pad, so I guess if I boost directly toward... Nope, okay. Got to make sure I get the angle right. And that will explode me. Okay. I think there is an angle that you could use. Yes, there is. Oh, come on, come on! So close! Accept my seed. Nope. Different angle. Nope. I'm gonna get this right. Nope, that's not it either. That's actually even worse than it was previously. No. Oh, hello. Oh, what can I see down here? I don't even know if there is anything down there. It's probably a star, I would imagine. Oh! Ah! Come on. Just get it in there. Can't be that difficult. Ah. Apparently it is that difficult. Come on, just, it was right there. It was so close. Oh, no. You see, this is a panda problem right here. We are just having problems mating. There we go. The species is saved. We will not go extinct anymore. Alright, well, I don't think there's anything else, again, that I can say on this game, so now is a good time to wrap it up. I am definitely impressed by this one. I think it takes a basic concept and executes it very, very well. Its aesthetic is very good. It has some interesting ideas behind it, and it's a game that works well on both mobile devices and on PC. I would probably want to play this on a mobile device more. There isn't really any benefit to playing it on PC outside of having a larger screen, especially since the game runs at 30 frames per second, although that doesn't affect the game too much, bearing in mind it is not something like a shooter or a racing game. But it's a really cool concept, and they managed to carry it with an interesting, unique, and somewhat strange aesthetic choice. And it gives a surprising amount of satisfaction knowing that you're able to execute a particularly difficult level in the most optimal path possible. But it doesn't punish you too much for taking the wrong path or making mistakes. So you do get the opportunity to learn, and replayability comes in things like speedruns and perfect runs. It's called Deep Under the Sky, and it's available on Steam for $10 or mobile devices for $3. And I think that pretty much wraps us up for the show, folks. Do let me know if you approve of the 2-game format, as well as the ability to stop before the 20-minute mark on each title. I might end up going back to 3, based on that. We'll see. I mean, if I can stop before 20 minutes because I've run out of interesting things to say, then I think that makes the show more compact, concise, and stops me repeating myself with needless blithering. I guess some games don't necessarily need 20 minutes to really come to your first impressions conclusion. The links to the games that I played today are in the description below this video. Again, I'd like to thank the developers that sent codes. Certainly very much appreciate that. And please do bear in mind that everything I've shown you on this show consists of the first 20 minutes of a title, which is not necessarily representative of the whole product. My name's been TotalBiscuit. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.